I know that we're about to record this afternoon, and so it's like now I'm feeling that like anxiety about having to let go. You know, you have to be that audience member that's never heard this before, never had these thoughts before, and just so the words really have to mean what you're trying to say. I kind of already know what I'm trying to say, so it's easy for me to trick myself into thinking, oh yeah, that means exactly that, but it doesn't, you know, or it's vague.
You ready to try this?
Ready to try?
Just read it the way you would normally read it. Don't worry about what we're expecting at this point.
Okay.
Because I think we'll hear things too.
Okay.
Steve is not a trained actor, nor has he done anything like this before, I don't think.
Ready?
Ready now.
All right.
Confidence.
So getting him to emote was the biggest challenge.
I come to these mountains, these stone walls and these frozen waterfalls again and again.
And that's no disrespect to Steve, because in the end, we think he did great, but we think we nearly killed him in the process.
Do we?
It's great. I love hearing it, Steve. It's exciting.
It's exciting.
It is.
It's exciting to me too.
I really feel
like
excited.
Speaking it out loud.
Say it. It sounds great. It sounds alive. It's got legs.
Cool.
And after seeing, you know, the visuals, I'm super excited about this.
I love working with Tyler. We've had some fun together doing some cool projects over the last couple of years. So really I would jump at the chance to work with him on anything. But the thing about this particular project was that we could really take some creative license with this piece. And of course, anybody wants to hear that.
And the huge extra input and collaboration that's coming now is from Dave Ruck. And he's gonna come at it, not having, you know, been on the film at all, and say, well, why'd you do this? I think this might be a better idea. We're already entrenched in the process and everything. He comes to it and says, I think this is going to be way more fresh, or this is going to be a whole different way to come at it.
My approach to editing is very musical. I have a musical background, but I also started off as an audio guy. And that's what I'm looking for, is phrasing and rhythm. And a couple of these things did look good on paper. It sounded great when we were recording them, but now as I'm hearing them, I'm going, and I find the natural rhythm of everything. And that sets the pace for me in editing.
This film is living and dying by the details, and this is what I want to bring the viewers into, is just this spiritual intensity and energetic connection to this very strange and just unique, you know, energy force that is this frozen waterfall. It's a very rare experience, and for most people to do this.
One of the guiding principles for this film was that it had to be incredibly spare, and there was poetry in that brevity. And so the huge process for the film was cutting away. So there's a whole, you know, somewhat painful but also somewhat, you know, cathartic process of trimming. We also have Will I Know, which we cut out as a last question. So we could do that with the eyes.
I love questions.
Yeah.
I mean, leaving the audience with questions.
For color grading this film, I chose to work with Anson Fogel. Anson was really able to bring the heat to, you know, elevate the film and its look. So we didn't want this to be a bright, oversaturated, high action type of film. This was one that's very thoughtful, withdrawn, and not overly colorful.
So we're working in a DaVinci Resolve, which is a high-end color correction suite, and we work with a lot of 5D footage and a lot of older 1D4 footage, and the 1DX footage is responding substantially better to pushing the colors around, especially in the blacks. And the ability to work with footage that was shot at ISOs as high as 25,000 is pretty incredible. And color correction suites, I think, tend to test cameras more than anything else as you get in there and really start to push things around in the shadows. And nothing's more revealing of technical deficiencies in a camera than a color correction suite. And it's really nice to
Or a
work with.
photographer or cinematographer's deficiency.
Once we're done with the color grading, it's really a matter of putting together all the final elements. The sound of the voiceover, the music, the visuals now that have been color graded, and baking that all together into one finished piece.